That's all right, innit? You know what? This testing. Let me make sure this is the last thing. See you soon, Bev. So, yeah, October Red. Johnny Nelson back together again. We did do something earlier, but it cut off, so we're just going to have to start again. Because
I don't mind. You can always remember the truth. You can't remember a lie. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on, man.
Right, we're here. I'm going to start off positive. We're here in Wolverhampton. Adam Azim, title fight. Tyler Denny, title fight. Talk to us about the boxer card.
You know what? I think for Tyler Denny, I'm really happy this young man has got this opportunity to fight for the European title in his own backyard. You don't understand how much of a big deal that is. And I've seen it many times where guys, they get the opportunity. And if this is Tyler Denny's limit, you know, as far as he goes, to get this fight in his own backyard with a good chance of winning, this will make him into it's like you'll make him into a local celebrity. And for all the work you put into boxing, he deserves it. He's a good guy. And I think he's got to use his pace. He's got to drag my man around so he don't feel comfortable in it. He's 44 years old. And I understand, you know, he lives good. But God one thing God takes away from you as you get older is your pace. He takes things away from you. So as a fighter, you've got the wisdom, you've got the smarts, you've got the knowledge. But if somebody comes in there that's not even got half your wisdom or knowledge, he's going to run rings around you. And he's got to be capable of doing that. So Tyler's got to be smart. Obviously for Adam Azim's fighting for the European title. It's his 10th professional fight. I think this young man, if he is the fighter we expect him to become, he gets this job done and gets it done. You know, there might be questions that are again raised in each fight, which is a good thing. You want every time he fights, he improves on some aspect of his fight. So again, I think this is a fight that he needs, a developing fight, like his last fight was. Now he's at that stage. If he wants to mix with the big names that he talks about instinctively, then this fight Saturday night will be a distant memory in a year's time.
We talk about Adam Azim, and he's a fighter, like I said to Shane, that boxers invested in. I said it to Spencer Oliver as well. Boxers really invested a lot of time in showcasing Adam Azim, like really pushing him to the forefront, being sort of like almost like one of their mini faces of the channel, the mini faces of their boxing. Does it get a point where you think, you know, like you said, questions last time with Fanian, he got the win, don't get me wrong, but that pace, you know, Spencer Oliver won this title in his 11th fight. Now, you know, Adam Azim's going in for it in his 10th. How do you kind of like monitor and make sure that he's not being pushed too far too quickly?
So number one, you look at how this young man conducts his business. You know, he performs and prepares for a fight, so he's fighting for a world title, conditionally, everything. Some guys mature at a young age, and he's one of them. I think it was getting to the stage with Adam that you couldn't put him in with anybody. And if you were putting him in with anybody, you had to pay through the nose. So why wouldn't you do it at a stage where, you know what, we believe, and I'm quite sure Shane and the team around him wouldn't put him in a position if they didn't believe he deserved to be there. Trainers will do what you know, they're looking at their best interests as well. And if Shane didn't think he'd be able to get through it, it affects him as well as Adam. So the people around him will also, on their estimation, on their assessment, think, you know what, you're ready for this. This is time. It's not 80% in your favour. It's 50-50 as far as the public is concerned, but we know what talent you've got. So I don't think it's too pushed too far. I think it's an opportunity that's come for him. He gets the chance to fight for the European title, and then it's not just about winning the title, it's about staying the champion. And if you become a champion, it comes with a responsibility. Whereas most fighters, they win a title and losing the first or second defence because their thirst has been quenched. Their hunger and desire to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning has been quenched, and therefore that drive that got them there to the first place has gone, which is why they get turned over. I think this is a stepping stone for Adam, where Adam will think, you know what, no man, I want more than this. This ain't enough for me. You know, if you've got that mentality, you'll always achieve.
I like that, because sometimes you think, and I've seen other fighters, and you know, they've been deemed like the next best star and whatever, and some of them get pushed. The reason why I'm asking the question is sometimes you can see them get pushed, and then it's too far, and then they have to drop back down.
And the other thing is this, I call it the David Beckham syndrome. You know, you see David Beckham and he's got the diamonds, these star-studded parties, and everybody thinks, my man, look, blingy, looks on point, but they're forgetting the work he's putting in behind the scenes to stay there. So guys, all of a sudden, when you get to a certain level, they think, yes, I'm there, I'm a celeb. They're chasing the fame rather than the game. You understand? So when they get the fame, it affects it affects their game. I ain't that kid. He ain't interested in that. He's game through and through. You know, so it's all coming to him. They put him in that position. That's what he's hungry for. He's not hungry for what comes with it, what will come with it naturally, but he's hungry for the game.
In this era of social media where everything, you know, it's not just about the skill of being a boxer. It's got to the point where it's not even just about knocking them out. It's about that character outside the ring. Because of obviously the 15 different social media platforms, we can show our personalities and show what we're about on. Compared to, say, your era to this, yes, if everything evolves, but there's a lot more pressure on the fighters to deliver, not just in the ring. Would you agree with that based on, say, your era?
One thing I like about Adam is this. He has the buffer of his father and the people around him. We interviewed him on stage earlier on. He pulled out some little broke-up Nokia phone out of his pocket. He said, you know, that shows the strength of character. Say, I don't need to see your foolishness. If you want to get hold of me, phone me. Don't send me no tweet, no nothing. And so he's put himself in that prison to say, I am not interested in what goes on out there, because it's fake, it's foolishness. You get armchair champions, you get social media creates a nation of cowards, and he's mature enough to remove himself from that situation. And I always say with sportsmen and women, if they're influenced by social media, they're the idiots, not the cowards that write foolishness. They're the idiots, because you're the one that's training and committing yourself and missing out on things. So if you're letting someone that's never done it before, you're letting someone that to intimidate your hunger and your desire, then you're the fool.
We can move on to the card. The final fighter that, you know, because I know we're pressed for time, there's a couple of things that I'd like to discuss with you. Is obviously Richard Riakporhe fighting, I believe, it's a Frenchman, Gregion?
Don't ask me to. You say it.
Talk to me about that fight, because at some point, and we look about horizons of people's careers, etc. And no disrespect, because, you know, he could come in and cause an upset. That would be fun. But it seems like Richard's started off well, and now he's taking a step back to move forward. Talk to your opinion on that.
It's show business, and unfortunately, a lot of the times, as time's gone on, which we've seen up until this week, we've seen the business is affecting the show. As in, my man don't want. I'm not letting you fight him. I'm not letting you fight him. The fighters want to fight each other, but the business has been affecting the show, and Richard's in a frustrating situation where the business is affected. It's not him that don't want to fight. You know, it's the business, the politics, the politics in that game that's affecting it. I remember being a European champion. I didn't defend it for 13 months. You know, even the mandatory challenger didn't want to fight me for it, but I had to be patient. And people saying, well, so why don't you fight? You don't want to fight anybody. That wasn't my fault. I had to tick over in the gym until eventually I got my crack for a world title fight. But I had to wait. And it's frustrating because people's perception of what they think is happening is completely wrong. And so for Richard, the hardest thing for Richard is to turn off the noise, turn off the foolishness, turn off his mates saying, why aren't you fighting? He's doing this, he's doing that. Richard's in a fortunate position where he could have another career doing something else. My man, it's not like he's just got boxing. You understand? This guy's a good-looking fella, and he's moving a different circle. And once he becomes world champion, and they see that what this guy's achieved as a professional boxer, and they see what he's doing as a sideline, he will absolutely fire up there because he's in such an enviable position by many of the fighters that, or many of the sportsmen or women that want to be in that position. He's knocking heads with stars, but he's prioritising boxing. Boxing's his priority. He lives in Loughborough. He's like, nah, this is what I do. This is my job. I'll drop that in when I can. But he's still in a lucrative position. So it's not that he hasn't got anything else. No, he has, but he chooses boxing. And so to be a fighter that chooses boxing and still is so successful, you've got to give credit where credit's due.
And I'm glad you've touched on that, because sometimes people can get frustrated. And like I said, I'm a fan first, and I'm one of them that I think, okay, we've seen beautiful modelling pictures. Yeah, that's fantastic. But that's not the reason why I support you. I support you because you're a fighter. So we want to see you fight. It's literally just black and white.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm an ex-fighter. So I know when a fighter's bullshitting his way through, you know, and you see it. Richard loves boxing. He's a fighter. You know, modeling's like, He's a God gift to say, yo, you know, you want to learn what I see? Pay me. You know, he's in a great position. He's a fighter. He lives the life. You know, so in your downtime, it's like, we need you for this. We need good on him. Good on him. So that's the difference between he and many other fighters that are in that waiting game. Now back to his career. He's ticking over. He gets this fight out of the way, gets a fight done. He's number one. He's the mandatory challenger for the WBO title. If Chris Billensmith wins, then I gather the WBO making that mandatory next fight. So either way, he might be his next fight. If he loses, if Chris Billensmith loses, then you know it would be the new winner as in Masterneck against Lawrence Okolie, and then it'd be Richard against Lawrence Okolie because he's still the mandatory challenger. So this is what you've got to look at, and this is what you've got to think. Patience is the key.
You've touched on something there. So basically, Chris Billensmith, we're going to stay positive. He comes through this.
Yeah.
Richard Riakporhe is the mandatory.
Yeah.
And we're saying that the mandatory trumps the rematch. So then what happens to young Lawrence now that seems to be like swinging out there in the cold?
Lawrence waits to see what happens between the mandatory and the champion. That's the position he's in.
Patience, I mean, I spoke to Deontay Wilder, and we can move over to that. But patience is something that, you know, even Deontay Wilder said that he's had to learn from the losses that he's had. A completely changed man he was, you know. Fair enough, he's still vibrant. He still shouts out Bomb Squad, but there's a total shift in who he is now to who he was pre-Fury.
I think, watching what happened this week in London, I think Deontay Wilder was class. How he carried himself, how he conducted himself, how he spoke, how he addressed people, how respectful he was to people. He was class above everybody that was there. He was one I thought, you know what? My man, he's right. You know, he's learned. He's had to learn the hard way. He's had to learn the hard way to be the man he is today. And I rated it. I thought, good on you. You know, you had certain people like Gerald Miller. He was the loudest man in the room. You know, but usually the loudest man in the room, as they say, is the weakest. You know, but it got us talking about him. You saw Anthony Joshua. People are saying there's a vibe going on there with AJ. I think AJ was in the room with people that had the same amount of egos that weren't kissing his ass. So all of a sudden he's like, now he's got that edge back, as if to say, what's going on here? I like that. I like that edge back. I like that he's a bit spiky, thinking, what's going on here? Because he's not got yes men around that's going to kiss his ass and tell him what he wants, because all of a sudden he's in the room for the champions. So that might make him, that might bring that spike back that he had before he was champion. And that's the thing that's been missing. And when I see that, I'm like, there's something going on there. Yeah, good on you. I like that. So that, you know, that might be a good thing for him.
Your thoughts then, like I said, you know, Frank Warren, you know, Eddie Hearn, and I will keep this to the British promoters because, like I said, we had Dimitri Salita, we had Shelley Finkel there representing the US with their fighters. But you're sat at home, like you said, you weren't there, wherever you were, and you see the two of the key promoters walk up on that stage and are sat a couple of seats away from each other. What were your thoughts on that?
My first thoughts were, Spencer Brown, well done. Now I give this man hellfire. You know, and I had a little bit of poke at him because I'm thinking, if you're going to come into the world of boxing, tell people you're a manager, you're going to get manager pressure. So I'm like, well, what qualifications has he got? Because people are going to say, what qualifications have you got to manage a fighter? Because you know what the responsibility is about managing a fighter? It's not just a word. You're going to manage the whole setup. But as the promoter, I think he did an amazing job because He was given a pot of gold to put an amazing show together. We saw it we saw it when Fury boxed on Grano. We've seen this show here. Who else that has a slight understanding of promoting or boxing promoting, could they have given that pot of gold to? They couldn't have given it Eddie. They couldn't have given it Frank, because both of these guys would have there would have been no evenness. There would have been an imbalance, So the chance of seeing all those people working together are zilch. Now, Spencer Brown being put in a position to say, get all these people together, put enough money on the table where they've got to sit down in a room together. Do you think Frank and Eddie would have sat down in a room together if they had a choice? They had no choice, because they would look like they would have been the ones that were being disruptive in regards to the progression. And this is where our boxing game shoots itself in the foot. So now you've got Mad Doe put on the table and all these promoters in the room, boom, banging their heads together, sit down and work. And so for the fans, I'm a fan now. As well as a broker, I'm a fan. So now for the fans, you're thinking, yes, I. Now after this fight's done, then, and I gather, the 3 fight deals that have been written in with, I might be wrong, with AJ and Cole. Now these things are going to happen. Now these fights are going to happen. There was the announcement of Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk February 17th or 13th. This fight's going on the 23rd, so therefore after that there's going to be the announcement of another show after that, or around that time. These fights are happening, so if we're fans, it's about goddamn time. So I'll give props to Spencer Brown for putting that together, for not being biased, choosing one over the other. Got to give props where his props is due.
And obviously a massive thanks to His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, that is obviously he's fronted, and he's obviously fronted up the money for it. The pot of gold comes from Saudi.
That's what I'm saying. So and Saudi aren't stupid. They understand. You're saying we want the whole world to come and see us, see where we're coming from, see what we're about. So when Fury boxed on Garno, they paid for all these celebrities to be ringside. So it's like me having a party, you paying you to come to my party.
That'd be nice.
It wasn't about you. It wasn't about all the cameras and all the eyes that followed you to see me putting a party on. So it was good business. So now, again, they're paying through the nose, as far as we're concerned. That's chick fee to them, to again, let the whole world see what Saudi is about, see what they're doing. So again, to the Sheikh, big props to him, because it's an amazing, clever business move to say, I'm going to bring my country, to your eyes, to make you see. I want to make you see my country, say my country is an amazing place to be. That's what he's doing. That's as far as he's concerned.
Business.
That is business. It's business. So regardless of how it's done, he's got it done. And so as a boxing fan, all you got to care about is the fact that he's got all of these people in the same room, got these promoters that conked their heads together, and got these fighters all sat in the same room. It was a lot of egos then. It wasn't just the fighters, it was the promoters as well, and the managers.
Spot on. I can't even say that I disagree with you, but one of the things that I wanted to touch on is, boxer as a whole. You've worked with, obviously, Eddie Hearn, with Matchroom parted away from Sky Sports. You're still here, part of the Sky Sports, boxing furniture. Recently, on Twitter. Well, that's a compliment, really.
Footstool?
No. Well, I'd say you're more of a chaise longue.
All right, I love that.
Yeah. Ben has come under a lot of criticism online. Even today, somebody tweeted, are people not going to the event that Boxers got on because, Ben Shalom's reluctant to do interviews with channel. I got tagged in it. Some other channels got tagged in it as well, so shout out to the other channels. And one of the things that I just wanted to say is, when Eddie Hearn started off, he had a mob against him saying, "Oh, we're going to ruin you." He spoke about it in interviews, and now it's sort of Ben Shalom's turn. He's the new boy on the block, and he's getting a lot of criticism. But what I'm saying is, I think it's a lot harsher because he's come into the game in the world of social media, where everything's Twitter, everything's Instagram, TikTok, everything's out there. So he's dealing with a lot of pressure. I mean, your thoughts on that?
You know what? And again, I'm old enough to see Mickey Duff, to Jarvis Astaire, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn, Eddie Hearn come through. So there's always been a schoolyard bully. and there's always been a new kid, and all the bullies that don't like each other will club together to pick on the new boys on the block. The new kid is Ben, and the bullies will work together, even though they don't like each other, to deal with the new kid. Ben's got to take his licks, because this is just history repeating itself. And any one of those promoters, you sit down with them, if they're honest with you, they'll say we had to go through the ring of fire. So it's a case of how much burning you can take. So Eddie's got to put his hard, so Ben's got to put his hard hat on and think, all right, I'll take. And listen, a lot of it sometimes is a bit personal. But if you're going to get into this fight game, you can't be no wallflower. You got to hold it down. So social media is an added pressure in regards to what people say, because all of a sudden everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's your boss. Everybody's telling you how wrong you are and how right you are. And so you've either got to be strong enough and focused enough to say, this is my mission statement, this is what I want to do. And cut out the noise. And you're going to have these schoolyard bullies. They're going to bully you. And they're going to tell you they're going to bully you. And they're going to tell everybody else they're going to bully you, because they've got the experience to know how to bully, to make it look like it's your fault. You know what I mean? So Ben's just got to go through it. So Ben not doing interviews. You know what? Ben, be Ben. Don't try and be Eddie.
I don't think he ever did try and be.
No, what I'm saying is, Eddie, to me, you know, he's completely different from all of them. And I've seen Frank. I've seen Mickey Duff. Eddie's like fast talking. He could sell you a car with no wheels, and he's sharp. He could talk his way out of a shooting bullet coming his direction. And I think it's brilliant. But you've got to be your own brilliant. So and I know Ben, when he sat down doing interviews, you know, and it's in a controlled environment, he's very articulate, he's very on point. But I also know if you throw a million questions at him when he's least expecting, it's and I understand in business you've got to be prepared for that. That's not him. You know, he's a young guy with a young outlook. And I say it to everybody, Ben should once a month have a breakfast club. Nice hotel, put some nice food, and say to all the press, if you want to interview me every month, this is where we chat. The rest of the time, don't ask me no questions. Therefore, he's in a controlled environment, and therefore he's prepped. He's prepped, because you might ask him about what's happening Saturday night, or you might ask him about what happened 3 months ago. Yeah. He'll be like, "Shit, what happened?" If you ask me where my shoes are in my house, I'm like, I don't know. But if I'm prepped for it, I'm on it. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, this is how Ben can control and be Ben. You know, and people stop comparing him to Eddie, to Frank, to X, Y, Z. Be Ben. Control your environment, because now you've got to get your power back.
Well, would you say then that there's an issue with spontaneity in, like, you know, when we speak to Ben, because there's so much going on, and like I said, because he hasn't been on any like, I can say, like YouTube channels like mine. There's so much that, you know, we need to catch up on. Why? And this is just me giving a bit of pushback. Why should there be a controlled environment? He's a promoter. He's in this industry.
Therefore, as a promoter, promoting your style. He's not a fast talker. You know, he's not a fast thinker. But he's a clever young man. But he needs to. He might be that fast talking about 5 or 6 years, 10 years time. He's new to the game. You know, so at the moment, you know, control the environment. You control the environment, get your power back. You know, and then if you want to in a few years' time say, yeah, all right, come, let's chat. But he's got to learn. He's learning on the job. So unfortunately, you're going to be open to criticism, and he's getting it.
I get it. There's criticism everywhere, and I understand that. But I remember, you know, the Boxer was the first show that I ever got accredited to. Ben was the first promoter next to Callie Sowland that I ever spoke with. And Ben had a clear vision for the fighters. He was one of these that literally wanted the best for his fighters. So I understand, even though sometimes it looks to us, because we're on the outside, we're thinking, why isn't this fight not happening? I get it, that he's kind of protective over his fighters, and with that comes a bit of selfishness, because he wants them on his platform. He's building, he's new, he wants the highlight to be on himself. So I kind of get that, and part of me feels a bit bad because he gets a lot of stick for it online. If that's just me being honest.
So if you get into the boxing game, unfortunately, you know, you can't ever swim without getting wet, and that it's going to come with it. Listen, I mentioned Spencer Brown earlier on. You know, he's going to get stick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now he's probably found his niche to say, you know what, I'm in a position here, and so that suits me. He was in the wrong position, in my opinion.
All right.
Which is why I had I said what I said. But he's in the right position now. This is part. But you know, that's the game. That's the game you're in. And if you can't take it, don't get involved in boxing. Because remember, when I was a boxer, I got everything called me left, right, and centre. If I listened to the foolishness, what people said about me, I won't be here today. You know, but you've got to go through. You've got to learn on the job. And so it's all right feeling sorry for him or whatever. He's got to learn on the job. His skin's got to get thick to say, right, this is me, and find your way.
I know you took some stick because I watched, I think it was Frank Warren when he spoke to Umar on IFL that, you know, Frank Warren said that if you were fighting in his back garden, he'd shut the curtain.
Still made him a lot of money though. That's right. I still made him money, so you understand. You know, there's two sides to every coin. So what I'm saying is, you gotta find light in the darkness. And so Ben's got to think, you know what, this is experience. And to get wisdom, you've got to go for experiences, good and bad. So he's going through his experiences.
Well, credit to him because he's, you know, the stuff that he's done for Chris Billam-Smith has been phenomenal. The work that he's doing with Adam Azim, Caroline Dubois, just to name a couple of the fighters, has been really, he's put them on the map. He's shown them out. So it's just about keeping that momentum. But, you know, I have reached out to him. I said, look, let's have a sit down. Let's catch up. Let's find out what's happening in the world of Ben Shalom, the world of boxer, what's going to happen moving forward. Because there's so many questions I've got. And I'll ask yourself. I might ask Savage Dan. But they can't be answered. They need to be answered by the promoter. So from like a fan's point of view and somebody that sits in the seat that I sit in, it would be an absolute, we need him. We need him back out there in the media. We need him like saying, you know, this is what's happening.
You're right, and again, that the only way I think he should do it is doing it in his controlled environment, you know, and then you can throw your questions up. You could be in somewhere that's the best way for him to do it at the moment. It's either that or nothing, and right now you're getting nothing. So that's what I'd do if I was him.
Listen, Johnny, you know we could talk forever. We've got to probably do another podcast. I'm going to leave you to it, but yeah, I'll see you fight night.
You're going to be here.
Don't start. Anytime you and
I'm hanging about for you for ages. Nice to meet you, Chip. I'm phoning you like, yo, I've been studying for hours waiting for you.
This is Cap because he's the one that runs off. So fight night.
Look at my face. Look at her face. Who looks like the lion?
See, everyone says that. Everyone says that. But you know what? Don't trust your innocent face either.
Jesus, what?
Fraud.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.